All right, everybody, welcome back. Good afternoon. We're on to the backups. These are quarterbacks that you sign because you want insurance and not really much else. You're not asking them to compete for a starting job. You're not asking for them to be a lottery ticket starter. You're just trying to get a guy who can provide depth and play in the event of an emergency, unless you're really, really trying to flout the conventions of the NFL. And I guess people have tried to do that before, and the price is right. But I don't think any team that actually cares about their 2025 season will do it. Maybe some of these guys could be good tank commanders, but I don't think teams tank that brazenly in almost all cases in the modern NFL. So these guys, basically, the way this would work would be you keep Geno on an extension, but you decide you don't trust Howell. You cut Howell. You don't have to pay him any money if you cut him, by the way, so that's kind of nice. And then you decide we want a veteran backup. We want somebody we can trust in the event of something bad happening. I guess it's not completely unrealistic. All of these guys are going to cost more than Howell would, though, so there is a little bit of a cost to it, even though you're not losing any money on the cut. Something to keep in mind. All right, let's go through some options here. First group, we got Marcus Mariota of the most recently Commanders, former number 2 overall pick. He has settled into a backup role on his last 2 teams, played very little the last 2 years. Played 13 games for Atlanta a few years ago. That's the last time he was any kind of a starter in this league. And in the 2 years before that, he was a backup who barely played. Basically didn't play at all. So he is what he is at this point. He is a backup. I don't think anybody's going to be signing him to actually play unless something goes wrong. So for whatever it's worth, in 2024, the little bit that he played, PFF loved him. But Kingsbury had that offense humming. Kingsbury had that offense going, made things look easy for Marcus. So I wouldn't ascribe a ton to that, except that Cliff Kingsbury's really good, and that offense was really good. In 2022, his grade was okay. Again, you can see there are 32 higher ranked quarterbacks, and there are only 32 starters. So, I mean, it's decent, but it's not cutting the mustard as a starter. Botrack says 1 year, 4.2 million. I think that's about right. He's probably a little bit better than the typical backup because he does have some talent. There is some pedigree here. He does have a history of winning games. I mean, this guy's even won a playoff game, right? He's done some good things in this league. It's just at this point, especially at his advanced age, it's not consistent enough. But he's a quality backup. Next guy is going to be Easton Stick. And I was a little surprised by this one. I'm not 100% sure I buy it, but the general idea is correct. He is a backup quarterback in this league, and he's been a backup quarterback for most of his career. Going to turn 30 in mid-September, and there's been one season where he's played meaningful football, 2023 when Herbert went down. He does have some mobility. He is a little bit of a dual threat, but there just isn't much of a quarterback to speak of here, if we're being honest. Did okay in 2023, but did not rank in the top 32. Did some good stuff as a runner. He's a backup. But the dual threat ability of Easton Stick does make him, I think, a somewhat of a valuable backup. So I could see this happening. I could see him getting 1 year, 4 million, which is what Spotrac has. I'm not 100% sure I buy it because he's not one of these experienced veteran backups that has played a good amount of football. But I could see somebody saying, we like his dual threat ability, and then they throw a little bit of money at him. So 1 year, 4 million. I don't know if I'd do that, but it's not a terrible idea. Mason Rudolph, next guy here, been around for a little while now. Former 3rd-round pick of the Steelers. Spent 2024 on the Titans. Played a little bit in relief of Will Levis. Played a decent amount of football for Pittsburgh in previous years. Highlighted by a 2023 where he took over at the end of the year and won 3 straight games to get the Steelers to the playoffs and actually played half decent against the Bills in the first playoff game. Didn't play nearly as good in Tennessee, but he's still got viable NFL skills. He's still a viable NFL player. And let's face it, Tennessee's a really bad situation. They're not treating their quarterbacks right. Pro Football Focus ranked him pretty poorly in 2024, but I mean, he played pretty poorly, so it's fair. It is worth noting they didn't really like what he did in 2023 either when he went undefeated and actually put up some nice, efficient numbers. But seems like Pro Football Focus is able to sift through the mirage a little bit, which, I mean, hey, if you're paying to use them, you would expect them to be able to do that, so that's good, I guess. And Spotrac thinks he's going to get a 1-year, $3.8 million deal. About to turn 30, by the way, so he's getting to that veteran backup stage of his career. And seems about right. I think he's going to get a little bit of a bump because he does have some skins on the wall as an NFL quarterback. He has done some decent things in this league. Nothing crazy good, but it's the most important position on the team, so he's going to get a little bit. Next guy, Zach Wilson. This one's going to be tough. I'm just going to say it. Putting this one down is going to be hard. Zach Wilson, second overall pick some years ago. Extremely talented, cannon arm, good mobility. A little bit on the undersized side, but he's only going to be 26 next year. Somebody might fall in love, or that same somebody might look at the stats and realize this is one of the worst quarterbacks that has started a significant number of games in the recent seasons. And look, the Jets are bad. The Jets don't take care of their quarterbacks well. I think we all know that. Aaron Rodgers, while he did play better than Zach Wilson, did not look radically better than Zach Wilson last year. Has to be said. But there just wasn't a lot to be impressed with Zach Wilson. There were moments where he legitimately looked like a punter out there, forced to play quarterback. PFF ranked him poorly last time he played. Remember, he didn't play in 2024 at all. So 2023, 58.2. Not even top 50 among all quarterbacks. Year before that, not even top 65, 46.6. So, I mean, it's a pretty clear story here. It's talent, which is high, versus production, which is low. So, 1 year, 3.3 is the Spotrac estimate, which is a decent middle ground. It's giving him a little bit because of the talent and his youth, but it's also not giving him that much because he hasn't been any good. And I don't think you can sign this guy as a starter. I don't think he's at that point. I don't think you can sign him to compete as a starter. I think you sign him as a backup, and maybe he pulls a Sam Darnold on you. But more than likely, this guy's just going to be out of the league soon. I think he's got one last contract in him, and then we'll see what happens in 2026. So 1 year, $3.3 million. Do you want to bet on his pedigree? Next guy, Joe Flacco. We all know about Joe Flacco, the man, the myth, the legend. Former Super Bowl MVP, former first-round pick. Never played in a Pro Bowl in his career, despite playing for... We're going to get to 2 decades before long here. Turning 40 in... Yeah, he's already turned 40, actually. Excuse me. Still seems like he wants to play football. Played semi-competent football these last 2 seasons. Was playing competent football even before then. I mean, there's some fun stuff going on here with Mr. Flacco. After a long, distinguished career with Baltimore, he's found life as a journeyman quarterback, wandering around, getting sporadic starts, and playing competent football, and showing some of these young players that, they've really got no excuse. If Joe Flacco at this age can still play effective football, you should be able to too. So do you want to be a part of it? Pro Football Focus, excuse me. Yeah. Pro Football Focus thought he was adequate last year, 71.6. So that's good backup tier. Year before that, 2023, when he took the Browns to the playoffs, they thought he was even better than that. They ranked him 26th. That's low-end starter stuff. So that was a couple years ago. I'm sure that there's been some diminishing returns because of his age. Spotrac thinks he's going to get 1 year, $3.2 million. I don't see why not, right? I don't think you can go crazy here because he is 40, but he's not going to be free either. He's not going to be vet min. He's not. I don't know why he'd play for vet min if you offered it to him. So sure. Drew Lock, you'd go get our old guy Drew Lock. I don't know why you would do this when you could have had Drew Lock last year, but you traded for Sam Howell instead and let him go to New York. I understand that maybe Locke wanted a situation where he could start, and he saw it was much more likely in New York. But at the same time, I don't know how a reunion would work. It's not like he's familiar with the offense anymore because we're changing offenses. And Drew Lock's had his chance. As near as I can tell, he's had his chance in this league. He got the opportunity to play a little bit for the Seahawks in 2023, and it was okay, I guess. And he got to play a decent amount for the Giants in 2024, and it was not okay. It was pretty bad. It was, look, nobody's going to succeed in New York right now, but there are things you can do to show signs. And he had one game where he just went off on the Colts, right? He had what was it, a 5-touchdown game? Yeah, 5 touchdowns against the Colts. And then the other games, there's nothing to say, really. So you get him as a backup. I mean, he's got a better arm than Howell. He's got a livelier arm. He's got a cannon. He might be a little bit more mobile, I guess. I actually think probably not anymore, especially at his age compared to Sam Howell. PFF, by the way, very low on his 2024. Did not like him at all, 53.6. And when he was with the Seahawks, they liked it a little bit better, but emphasis on a little. Botrax says multi-year deal. I'm not buying it, but they think he's going to get 2 years, $6.2 million. That's $3.1 million a year. I think he's getting 1 year, $3 million. 1 year, $3.5 million. He'll get something because he's got the big arm, but I don't see anything beyond that. 1 year, $3 million, maybe 3.5. I don't know why this would result in a multi-year deal personally, unless a team is doing a 1-and-1 deal where they push all the money into the second year and then he doesn't see most of it. Jacoby Brissett, here we go. Interesting. Jacoby Brissett, he's been a starter in this league. He has had success in this league for sure. He was a starter to start 2024. Got his starting job taken away because the Patriots got a little impatient. He was a good starter for the Browns a couple years ago when Watson was suspended. He started a lot of games for the Colts. He's been good in this league, but I think he's probably hitting the wall now. He's about to turn, well, he's already turned 32, going to turn 33 late next season. What we saw from him in New England last year was a player who he just plays too cautiously. And it's not a terrible idea to play cautiously, but he takes it to such a degree that it's completely unfun to watch him play football. There's no entertainment value whatsoever. It's really hard to evaluate your receivers because he's not able to get them the ball at all. So I don't think you can sign him as a starter anymore. I think he's a pure backup at this point. A good backup. Good amount of experience in this league. PFF ranked him poorly in 2024. They did, and I think that was appropriate to do so. But New England did not give him a lot of help. And 2022, when he played quite a bit for Watson when he was out, it was great. They loved him. So he does have the ability to play efficient, effective football. So, perfect backup. And Botrack thinks he's going to get 1 year, $3.1 million. Sure. I'd do that. I think he's worth that. If I needed it, I'd get it. 3.1 million. One last guy for this video, and then we're going to do more later. Jimmy Garoppolo. That's right. Prince Aladdin himself, Jimmy Garoppolo. Does anyone call him Prince Aladdin? I feel like they made this one up. But look, Jimmy Garoppolo played 1 game last year against the Seahawks. Actually played really well. We beat him, but fought hard. But after what happened in Vegas, and to a certain extent, how Brock Purdy took his job in San Fran, he's not going to be a starter anymore. Garoppolo going to turn 34 in November. So clearly past his prime. Clearly not a starting caliber player at this point. Clearly somebody who benefited tremendously from Shanahan. He's a backup now. And he's not a terribly exciting backup, but there is a level of competency here because he's played a lot of football. He's won a lot of games. There is something here that is valuable. PFF thought he was, in 2023, okay, but not good enough to start. And in San Fran the year before, they thought he was a low-end starter. Pretty appropriate. Remember, Brock Purdy came in and immediately started playing better as Mr. Irrelevant. And Spotrac gives him 1 year, $3 million. I mean, he's probably done enough in his career to earn a little bit of extra credibility with over-vet men. So I think this is probably about right. I personally wouldn't do it. I'd rather try to find something a little bit more fun. I don't think Garoppolo is very fun. He's just going to check it down all game, and he'll get the ball out quickly. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I want something a little more lively, personally. All right. Those are my first batch of backup quarterbacks. Does anything do anything for you guys? Let me know down in the comments. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks. More quarterback stuff later. We're moving on to another position tomorrow. Everyone have a good rest of your day.